Hey, Logan.
Hey, Mandy. I was just talking to my mom about you. She can't stop talking about what a great time she had last night. She thinks you might be the one.
Well now, that is high praise indeed, coming from your mom. I know how much you value her opinion.
Yeah, I'm a mama's boy at heart, for sure.
I always seem to attract that type of guy. Maybe there's something Freudian going on there. I don't know.
Oh, gross. But seriously, my parents love you.
Even your dad?
Even my dad. And he is a tough man to please, too.
I'm so relieved, Logan. I was terrified yesterday. I'm not used to meeting my boyfriend's parents. The concept is pretty alien to me. I've only really had one serious boyfriend before you, and I never met his folks. He was a pretty private guy, but I like how close you are to your family.
You're going to have to meet my brother next. You'll like him, too. But he's been living in New Jersey for nearly a decade now. I've told you about him, haven't I?
Yeah, hundreds of times.
Oh, sorry.
Don't worry, you're goofy, but I like that. I like a guy who's personable, and you can't stop talking.
You were the talkative one last night. I couldn't fit a word in edgeways.
You reckon?
Yeah. You seem to know a lot about my dad's job. I didn't know you were into car rentals. If I didn't know any better, I would have thought you'd worked for him at some stage.
No, I haven't. But my ex was into cars, and I'm fairly sure we rented a car from your dad at one point. But I can't say for sure. But he looks familiar. He has your face, and he has your eyes.
You probably have run into him before. He's a respected man in the community. He's been running his business for 20 years. If you want to hire a car in this town, you go to Trey Jones.
Well, I am honored to have met the Trey Jones last night. He's a good guy. And a good dad. I don't know what it's like to have a dad. But I'd imagine having a dad like your dad must have been swell.
It wasn't all great. Did you know he and my mom nearly divorced?
No, you never mentioned that. When did that happen?
Well, he had an affair a few years ago with this teacher at the local school. My brother's high school teacher, actually. She was married too. It was a horrible time for our family. But my mom forgave him, and so did my brother and me. And he's really turned his life around after that. Now I really look up to him again, the same way I did when I was a boy.
I bet. Well, from experience, I'm not so sure people can completely change. My mom let my dad back into her life time and time again, and he kept repeating the same mistakes. He had an addiction, and as much as we like to pretend that someone can change, it's not as easy as snapping your fingers and changing in a second. I hope your mom's okay.
She's okay. Like I said, my dad is a changed man now. He's not like that anymore. I trust him. And my mom trusts him. I disagree with you. I think people can change. You have to believe that, or what's the point in forming any relationships with people? Everyone can make a mistake. And people need to be given a chance at redeeming themselves. I get why you might feel the way you do. Your dad didn't change, but that doesn't mean my dad didn't. And I still think people are never beyond redemption.
You've got a positive outlook on life, Logan. That's why I like you.
Talkative and positive, that's me, I guess.
Never change, Logan. You're one of the good guys. You don't need to change.
Thanks, Mandy. I'm not perfect either, but I try to be the best person I can be. Hope that doesn't give you the ick.
No, never. I'm done dating bad guys. There's only so many times you can get your heart broken.
I bet. Anyway, catch you tomorrow?
Sure, let me know when and where.
Of course. See you then, babe.
See you, Logan.
Hey, Mandy.
Trey, why are you texting me? I told you to delete my number.
I'm sorry. Old habits die hard, I guess.
What do you want?
Don't be like that, Mandy. I did a good job last night, don't you think?
Good job at what?
Pretending not to know you. And you did a mighty fine job pretending not to know me, too.
Well, what did you expect me to do? I like Logan. I like your son. He can never find out about us.
He won't. But seeing you last night, it made me think, God, I miss you, Mandy. I miss us. You're a real firecracker, Mandy. I don't want to admit it, but I'm jealous of my son.
Trey?
Yes, darling?
It will never happen between us again. Do you hear me? It was a mistake the first time. The second I found out you had a wife and kids, I was never going to see you again. I'm not a homewrecker, Trey. I'm not going to do that to another woman.
So why did you start dating my son then?
I had no idea he was your son.
Pretty big coincidence if you ask me.
I'm not asking you.
You must have known who I am. You must have known who Logan was. I'm a big name in this town. Everyone knows that.
Well, I didn't. I'm sorry, hotshot. You were just some guy I met at a bar one night. I was sad when I broke up with my ex. I used you. I'm sorry. But I like Logan now. He's a sweet guy. He's nothing like you.
Well, meow. Way to sink your claws in there, Mandy.
You know what he said to me earlier?
What was that?
how much he thinks you've changed. How much he looks up to you now, and for a second earlier, I believed him. He made such a compelling case, even though in the back of my mind, I knew. I knew he was being lied to. By you. But I couldn't tell him. I couldn't tell him what a bad guy you really are, because if he knew what I knew, he would never talk to either one of us ever again.
You won't find out, Mandy. Do you think I want my son to find out I had a relationship with his new girlfriend? Do you think I want my wife to find out that I cheated on her again? After all the marriage counseling we've gone through, the thousands of dollars I've paid on fixing my marriage, on fixing the relationships with my sons.
But that's your problem, Trey. Right there. It's all about money and status for you. And after all the thousands of dollars you've spent on fixing your life with your family, you still have the arrogance to cheat again. Your family was kind enough to give you a second chance, and you haven't taken it. You remind me of my own father.
Maybe that's why you like me. You got some daddy issues to fix there, Mandy?
You're inhumane.
Mandy, I might have made a few mistakes in my lifetime, but when you get to my age, you realize a few things. Life is short, and I ain't someone who just wants to sit on my porch playing checkers until I die. I want to grab my life by the proverbials. If I want to go for a drink, I'm gonna get myself a drink. If my wife doesn't want to entertain me, I'm gonna find entertainment elsewhere, if you catch my drift.
You are so stupid. I can't believe I even entertained you to begin with.
Well, shows how smart you are. Don't preach to me about how to be a good person. What kind of 22-year-old sits around bars on a Tuesday night talking to old dudes such as myself?
The kind of girl who's had her heart broken one too many times. The kind of girl who was very lost and had made a lot of stupid mistakes in her life, and you were one of them.
I don't believe you. The way you were looking at me last night, I know you still want me.
You're deluded. The way I was looking at you, you're my boyfriend's father. I was being polite. You think I'm going to come into your house and give you the death stare? That would definitely be suspicious. And you can believe whatever you want to, Trey, but the truth is, the unfiltered truth, is that you suck as a dad, and you're bad in bed. So there you go. Why on earth would I want to go back to that? Your son is 1,000 times the man you are, and he's going to know exactly what kind of man you are.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that your son deserves to know who you really are. Your wife deserves to know who you really are.
Don't get any ideas in your head, Missy. You don't want to go down that road.
Are you threatening me?
Not yet. But like I said, names don't come bigger than mine in this town. And you'd be wise to know your place.
My place? Oh, I know my place. And you'll know yours soon enough, too. Bigger men than you have fallen in history, Trey. They flew too close to the sun and they got burnt. And anyway, it's 2023. Wake up. There isn't room for men like you in our society anymore.
So what? You're going to ruin my life? You're going to ruin my son's life? And you're going to ruin my wife's life? Because of something you did too?
No, Trey. If I felt you had genuinely made a mistake and were remorseful, I'd still encourage you to come clean to your family. But I don't think you are. So as far as I'm concerned, you need a wake-up call, and your family is going to be better off without you.
If you do this, Mandy, it will be the biggest mistake of your life.
You don't scare me. Goodbye, Trey.
Mandy!
Mandy? Hey, Logan, I was just going to message you.
My dad just dropped by my apartment. He was saying all these things, these crazy things.
What kind of things?
He said you were in love with him.
What?
He said that he'd been lying to me, that he'd met you before when you were working at this bar, and you became obsessed with him. And you went to his dealership, and you've been stalking him. And that he told you he was married and he wasn't interested in you, but then you showed up at his house with me. And he was so surprised that he didn't say anything. But he wanted me to leave you, Mandy. He said you were dangerous.
Logan, listen to me. Your dad is lying. And he's not very good at it either.
He's lying? He told me you would say that too if I talked to you. Well, he made me promise not to talk to you while he dealt with it. He said he'd call the cops and it was a police matter now. And that I should not incriminate myself by contacting you.
Incriminate? He doesn't know what he's talking about. Logan, he's lying to you and I have proof.
You have proof? I'm so confused. You know my dad?
Yeah, Logan, I know your dad. I thought, stupidly, that I could cover up the truth, that somehow I could just go on dating you and hiding a terrible secret. But I was wrong. And you're wrong about your dad. He is not a good person, and I know that firsthand.
What do you mean?
I mean that he's been lying to you for a long time now. He didn't just cheat on your mom once. I don't know exactly how many times he's cheated on her, but I know for certain that he's done it more than once.
How do you know?
Because your father and I, there's no easy way of saying this. We slept together a couple of times a few months back. I wasn't doing too well. My ex dumped me. I was doing some shifts at the local bar, and this guy was just sat there. He seemed interested in me, in my life. I didn't have many people to talk to, and this guy just wanted to talk. So I went home with him after work, but I knew it was a mistake. I don't usually go with older guys, but this guy seemed nice. He seemed safe. And then the next day, he wanted to see me again. He said he owned a car rental shop and that I could meet him there after he finished for the day. He said he'd take me out for dinner, that he had money, lots of money, but I felt something was wrong. He drove me to this dinner way out of town. I asked him why, and he said that he just preferred these kinds of places. He didn't like places with lots of people in them. And then he took me to a motel, and then when I woke up the next day, he was gone. He didn't leave a number or anything. But I had given him mine, so a few days later, I just went to his shop, but he wasn't in. And I talked to the man who was working there and asked where this guy was, and the man told me that this guy was with his family. He was off for the day. He had to take his wife to Pilates or something like that, and I just froze. I felt sick to my stomach. This guy, Logan, he's your dad.
I know who he is, Mandy. You prefaced the story by telling me you slept with my dad.
I'm sorry, Logan. I truly am, but I had no idea. I didn't know he was your dad until yesterday, until supper. I was shocked when you introduced me to your parents.
I can't believe this has happened.
I'm sorry, Logan, but I needed you to know who your dad really is. I promise you, I am not in love with your dad. He texted me last night. He said all of this messed up stuff. He said he wanted to see me again, that I was looking at him like I wanted him last night. All these horrible lies, and I have proof. I can send you the texts.
I don't need proof, Mandy. I know who he really is. I was just kidding myself. I guess you were right. People never change.
Well, that's not true, Logan. People can change, but some people, like your dad, they're beyond help, beyond redemption. I know there isn't much of a future for us now, but I needed you to know the truth about the kind of person he really is. And I'm glad you know now.
Thank you, Mandy. My heart is broken, but I'm grateful that you told me.
I'm sorry, Logan. Take care of yourself.
Goodbye, Mandy.
It was fun with Logan while it lasted, but he needed to know the truth about his dad, and he would have found out sooner or later anyway. It was better to end things with him now than continue dating him knowing what I knew about his father. Logan's mom divorced Trey, and Logan moved in with her. Trey's business even collapsed, and he had to sell the shop. Trey is still a big name in town, but for all the wrong reasons now. I hope Logan can find someone who can make him happy, and I hope I can find someone a bit like Logan, too.